Do you guys have an intro? Okay.
What's going on?
So we started?
We're the Meatheads here. Jay Stain here, the salty sea dog, with Malcolm as always, and we got Kerri today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Going hard. He's like, I mean, he came want to talk about Alex Jones, but like, you know, we're down to talk about whatever the fuck.
We just talked about aliens for a good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's only 20 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, every time we buy pizza, it's like, I need to talk about aliens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kerri, you're running a couple of podcasts of your own. So there's Darkest Corner of the Internet. That's a relatively new one, isn't it?
Yeah, and it doesn't get much attention yet.
No.
I haven't even really done my graphic design proper yet. But it's probably like my favorite idea so far. Yeah, it's my favorite idea so far. And it sounds like it might be like a horror genre thing, but it's actually just the weirdest shit.
Fuck yeah.
It's not though. It's just the weirdest shit you can find, or
right.
or
just
like
all kinds
offensive
of
shit, or like
not necessarily horror, but
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's mostly like Trump stuff, like Peterson stuff.
Good bit of trolling.
I was gonna start it off that way, and one of my first episodes was teaching kids like gender identity stuff is child abuse.
Oh, God.
That was a little trolly of a title.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, but there's a grain of truth to what I was saying there.
Right.
I think, in my opinion. But anyways, we're here today to talk about the infamous / famous Alex Jones. Who
cue Alex Jones music.
So I really liked that point that you're leading in with. You were saying that at some point in the middle of the 20th century, the American government was using some conspiracy nut as a distraction to just disinform other people,
right?
Who were actually getting close onto government secrets. And that reminds me of the Reptilians podcast we did. Some guy that I referenced from the comments section, he was saying that Alex Jones is just a fucking shill job there, just paid by the fucking Illuminati to distract everybody.
Right. Mm-hmm. So is Joe Rogan. He's on the Illuminati payroll.
But I'd be more inclined to believe it with Alex Jones.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not saying I believe it, but I would be like, that's not out of the realm of possibility to me. And when I was researching last night, there was actually a company that some people had pinpointed, and it's some branch of one of the intelligence companies, but it's like it's actually a corporation,
like a shell company for the CIA.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. And obviously, like, these are connections being made by people that I don't know if they're sources or if this is correct, but there was a company that is being accused of paying him from the beginning. 1996 is when he started, but I don't know if he was actually doing anything before that, like. But that's when he got a radio show. Could
it just be that it's like sponsorship or something?
Well,
because that's not exactly dirty dealing.
Exactly.
It's just a sponsor.
Right, but if it is from some like arms company or like, political thing, then it's a little sketchy.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it is still a conspiracy, and not, there's no real connected dots. I think Alex is just doing what has been rewarding him for the last 20 something years.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're just being
I think
being
he's
crazy.
A pretty smart guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Rogan hates crazy people, and he always calls Alex his friend.
Yeah,
It's like there's something there.
He said
like
they've been friends for a long time. They like went on the White House lawn with George Bush masks on and were fucking around, like jumping around and shit. Being idiots.
Oh my god!
Totally. That was like in the late '90s, I think.
Yeah. Oh, so it was George H.W. then.
It must have been, yeah.
So
it must have been.
That's crazy.
Jesus.
After. Yeah, it's possible though that he's paid. Like a paid, what's the word? A shill.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing just a little bit of reading because a little bit of reading on one of my interests in Joe Rogan, which is basically that he uses his show exclusively just to make a shit ton of money off a product that he sells. Yeah. So he scares people, being like, "Oh, there's fluoride in the water. There's fluoride in the water. It's gonna turn the frog gay." Or whatever,
I see. That's totally true.
I don't know if that's got anything to do with fluoride and gay frogs. I'm pretty sure it's something completely different.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
it's the narrative though of everything's going to shit, and you need to buy a tactical bathroom to stay alive.
You need to get
There's a real tactical
water filtration. A special Alex Jones approved water
And
filtration.
some of them, like some of those, are probably good things. They're probably just overpriced camping gear, though, which is the unfortunate thing. But
oh shit! I actually,
I like
I'm
the
not a
idea.
Russian is his big thing because
yeah.
everyone thinks he's paid by Russia too.
Right.
that reminds me. I went through the store, just looking at like his online store. Just looking at some of their products. So, under preparedness, there's nuclear and biological preparedness. There's a ready mask. You know it's trendy because it's spelled with an I instead of a Y.
Oh God.
It looks a little more than a standard face mask, like I'm sure any of us have used on a construction site or anytime you're working with dust. And it's got like this plastic sort of face shield going over the top of your face, just to cover your eyes. And it's like, it's $10 for 3, maybe tops.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure you can get, these construction face masks.
they're so
for
cheap.
like $5, you can get 20 or whatever.
Yeah, $20 is like a huge package of a couple hundred. Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Exactly.
go.
It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. I've heard people that article you sent me about Jordan Peterson. It was pretty harshly criticizing Jordan Peterson, basically saying that he's selling his stuff, like some of his things, for a ridiculous amount of money, making money off of, like, it was calling him like the dumb people smart person.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, right.
But I mean, I think there's like maybe a little bit to that, but like I also see where Jordan Peterson's coming from. I mean, but I like, it's like with him and with a lot of people, I like when they talk about other things, not just like Hitchens. I don't like to hear him just talk about religion. I want to hear him talk about like politics and history and literature and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I read this article. Well, no, it was a book review about his 12 Rules for Life thing. And I was going to send it to Ryan. Shout out to Ryan Evans. But he hadn't finished the book yet. So I didn't want to sway his opinion. But I want to talk to him about it because it's a scathing fucking review.
Right.
He just rips it apart. And so, I don't know. Maybe I should read the book myself. I'm not sure if I'm going to because I don't need 12 Rules for Life, honestly. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I have the book.
Yeah.
It was purchased by a contractor in Salt Spring for me on my birthday.
Nice.
I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm okay with talking about Peterson for a second, actually. So, there's this whole like self-help thing Peterson has, which you may or may not like, but when you get in, we were talking earlier about mythology and truth.
Right.
Peterson's real
That's
sweet with
where
that
he
shit.
comes in,
like his
yeah.
lectures on the Bible and stuff, man, were so interesting.
Right.
And for me, it's like I would never listen to something like that. It's like I put in at least 10 to 20 hours on his lectures on the Bible. That's like never a class I would take, like.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but it was one of my favorite lectures I've ever seen. Absolutely. And just breaking down mythology across cultures and how they're similar and the stories and how they're important.
That actually sounds like a pretty fascinating subject.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's very...
Totally.
I would go
It
see
tickled
that.
my brain.
Yeah, I would go see that, not for the advice that it gives. Like, I don't want people's advice, really.
Right.
But just for the historical content.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
I think it's a
fascinates me.
lot of people, if they're not religious, they kind of like throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
With the Bible, I think, because I think there's something to it. Like it's a huge, it's like part of the canon of Western culture in a sense.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like literature and things that you can't understand without knowing some of it.
Yeah. And you don't have to hold it like close to your heart to like read it and try to get something
Right.
valuable for it. Yeah, from it. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
To be honest, I tried to read the Bible. I got probably through Genesis, and then I was going into the next part, and I just like, wow, this is so fucking boring.
Yeah. I read it when I was 12.
I haven't even
Wow.
read that much.
And then I went to the
honestly.
Satanic Bible and the Quran. I was
I've read-
super into
I've read
religion when
the-
I was young.
I've read the whole
Nice.
Satanic Bible. That's a good one.
It's interesting, yeah.
It's just like a, it's
It's self-worship.
What it is. It's
Yeah.
what it is. But
It's the name is literally like trolling. Well, that's Anton LaVey's section of it.
exactly.
So yeah, Alex Jones fucking hates Satanists. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, interdimensional Satan vampires.
Yeah.
He said Hillary and Obama smell like sulfur.
Right, I've heard that. And
Yeah.
there's flies on him. There's flies. Like there's flies. He's like talking about how there's flies on Obama and shit. Oh god.
Oh man! And have you ever heard him rant about gay people? It's intense, man.
Alex Jones.
I
on
just
gay
saw
people?
the gay frogs thing.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
Because
Right.
he was. That's the only reference point I have, and he's like, oh, you think that I'm gonna just go on a rant about gay people now? No, I'm not going there. That's the only part I remember.
Right.
I was like,
No, I
wow,
honestly
is
don't
he
know what
actually
he
kind of
thinks
backing
about-
off, or is it?
He doesn't like gay people, but okay. So I watched one of his newer videos today, and he's like, "It may be the gay libtards that are trying to kill me, but I don't want to see society throwing them off the roofs." And it's like talking about Muslims.
Okay,
and
yeah.
But there's another rant I open, and he's like, "These fucking fairies are trying to kill me." He's like, I shouldn't cuss, but these fucking gay fairies," and like it gets pretty
Right,
bad, man. Pretty bad.
Jesus.
I don't think. Honestly, I don't think that he's. I think that's like him playing into like this whole trans thing that's going
Yeah.
on. I don't think it's like him.
Yeah.
I hope not necessarily being like against gay people as a whole.
Well, no, and the strange thing is like Alex Jones is not a right winger, like
Right.
or
Right.
wasn't.
Yeah, I think.
Like he
I-
always just goes with whatever he thinks is right at the time, or at least like, or he's following trends
Right.
at the time because he was very anti-Bush. I mean, completely
Right.
anti-military, especially from '96 to 2005. But when Obama got elected in, that's when the left kind of abandoned him because he was making these documentaries about Obama, the Obama
Right,
deception,
right.
and when your tribe leaves you, because he was a big like kind of like Julian Assange was a hero of the left in a way. He was always crazy, but the
Yeah.
left always like used them to their advantage.
Constantly like probing the government in a sense.
Well, yeah, and same with Julian Assange. Like now, like the left has thrown him out, and now he's part of the whole Trump thing apparently. But he just hated Hillary. He wasn't pro-Trump. He just
Right.
wanted to take Hillary down because she was
Right.
fucking with him.
I think that's a very important distinction to make.
Yeah,
You know, I do not like Hillary Clinton, but at the same time, I dislike Trump more. So
Yeah.
they both suck terribly.
Yeah.
They're both just pro-war. You know,
Right.
pro-money, pro-war.
Status quo in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is unfortunate, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone thought Trump was going to be the like draining the swamp kind of guy, but
and here he is bombing Syria.
Yeah, it's even worse, actually.
Right.
I mean, he
It's
killed the
because-
TPP, which was pretty cool. Like, the
Yeah,
TPP
that's
would
an
have been
interesting one.
bad. Yeah.
He's going back into it apparently.
No.
Or they
Fuck.
revising it,
Yeah,
basically.
they're revising
They're
it,
just
yeah.
revising it. But then they're also looking over the Iran deal, which is, I think this month they're going to be seeing whether or not they want to keep the Iran deal, which is another big.
He better not fucking touch
big
the Iran
thing.
deal, man.
Wait.
It's
So
crazy.
is that related to that big like money payment? The big
Oh.
payment that Obama sent a few years ago, like that
well,
400 million
I think
or
it
something.
might be, yeah, because they're
I'm not
basically they're kind of giving them the go ahead to develop nuclear energy. I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
And then there's of course the Hawks are thinking they're going to use it for weapons, which I mean there's a possibility. They've been, you know, they're not the best regime in the world, but
Yeah. Do you want to know
Who
something
knows?
crazy? Iran was getting super like democratic and progressive, and the
Right.
U.S. overthrew that government and put in a dictator.
right,
Yep.
right.
That really happened, yeah. And
Yep.
the U.S. has been doing that in the Middle East since the 30s. The
Yep.
CIA specifically.
Before that, it was the British.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the
It's-
Ottoman Empire
it's-
was fine. It was sick and it was falling apart, but it was okay. You know,
Mhm.
as far as stability goes in the region, they could have left it, and I bet that the majority of the problems that we're having today in the Middle East wouldn't be a problem right now.
Right. If we didn't fuck with it.
Right.
Well, it's not about fucking with it. It's just the way that we fucked with it.
Right.
All these arbitrary boundaries.
Yeah, and yeah, the British drew up the Middle East.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And the French, yeah.
Yeah.
So, also how, I think there was like part of the reason that Saudi Arabia exists was because,
it was like it was an oil deal with the British and the House of Saud, wasn't
yeah,
it?
and there was actually a civil war at the beginning.
Right.
Like in the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire, there was a civil war where the House of Saud was fighting against whoever it was. Like it was the Hashemite dynasty, I think.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the Hashemite dynasty, which was in Mecca. And So that was overthrown. And funnily enough, it's the Hashemites who became the first kings of Iraq and Jordan, I think. I think it was Iraq and Jordan. And so the Iraqi king was overthrown in the 50s or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the Hashemite king of Jordan is still around, so.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, just moral of the story, don't fuck with those guys, like, most of the time. I mean, sometimes you have to, like...
Well, I think it's just a good idea just to not fuck with any other country,
Yeah.
period.
Well, the
It's
problem
a
now too
horrible
is
policy.
different players internationally are funding different rebel groups in these countries too to battle each other, and it's
Yep.
making
Yeah.
it so much worse.
Yeah.
Like the missile strikes that Trump sent killed the people that made ISIS leave Syria. Like you
Right.
just killed those guys that were fighting the bad guys. Like
Right.
like 30 bases,
Yeah, there
30
you
air
go.
bases,
It's pretty intense.
39, something crazy like that. It was
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so Alex has actually jumped off the Trump train like 7 videos ago. He started. He made like a 2.5-hour video like denouncing Trump. I watched
Was
it
that
all.
on Friday
Right.
night?
I think so.
Yeah.
I watched it all today.
Actually, my buddy Sam McVicker, he sent me the video, and it was just like a short little clip. It's just Alex going like, "Fuck Trump, fuck Trump,
Oh,
fuck
I
these
didn't see
fucking
that one.
scum, these shitbags,
Yeah.
fuck Trump." I don't know.
Yeah.
Just see if I can.
Man, the one I was watching, like, I was gonna load up the clip at 4 minutes on my phone and put it on the mic. I might do it eventually on this podcast, but there's like at the 4-minute mark, he starts ranting about gay people again.
Right.
It's a new video too. It's so funny, man. Like it's so funny. It's like talking about how Trump he did the war thing because he basically is. This is Alex's conspiracy that Trump launched the missiles because the Democrats are using all the sexual stuff against him, like Stormy
Right.
Daniels and all the girls, and he thinks Trump doesn't want to admit to all that stuff. So he basically like is sucking dick. He's going to war. He's
Right.
like doing what
That's
they
what
need.
Bill Clinton did.
Yeah.
In a sense, he used cruise missiles like I think the day before his trial
Yeah.
with Monica Lewinsky, so everyone is not paying attention to what he's doing.
See, the war machine has these people by the balls, man. Like,
yeah.
it is a conspiracy, but it's like I think that's definitely something I believe.
I was gonna mention like Alex Jones during the election when Alex Jones talked to Trump over like whatever Skype or whatever they're talking over. He basically he was kind of saying like I hope like he was saying I really do hope you do good if you become president, and he was kind of, but it did seem like Alex was saying like, you know, if you like, you know, I'm not just gonna go like always support you. I'm gonna fucking, if you do good things, I'm gonna support you,
Yeah.
and if not, I'm gonna fucking keep doing what I'm doing, which is like I think he's just being like, you know, he's like a critic in a sense.
Yeah.
In some ways.
He was
A
crying.
social critic,
He was
right?
crying on the episode I watched about
Right.
Trump. He was crying on it because he was like, "You killed all those heroes that fought ISIS and Al Qaeda."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him a couple of clips.
Yeah,
See,
he gets like a tear.
I'll be honest,
It's amazing.
My exposure to Alex Jones more or less involves clips
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Right.
Right, and people like you see out of context, especially like he's crazy even in context. So when it's just clips, it's even funnier and crazier.
Yeah.
But back in '96 to 2005, Alex made a lot more sense. He was always pushing fear, though. Like, the Russians were going to bomb us. He was always pushing shit like that. Y2K.
Really, back in 2005, because that's when
actually-
Putin was the good guy.
Right. Well,
Jeez.
actually, when was it? He was Y2K. He said, Y2K. He was pushing
That was a big
the
one.
Russian narrative
Yeah.
of nuclear war.
He admitted that he was wrong with that one. They kind
Yeah.
of pressured him, right, into pushing it, and then he said he kind of believed it. Then he realized he was wrong
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. But he kind of said he did the wrong thing by pushing it, even though he wasn't really sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that he admitted it.
Totally, that
Yeah.
was a.
And he
I think that was
denounced.
on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and he denounced
Yeah.
the Sandy Hook shit too.
Right.
He
right,
did, though.
Right.
But only because he was on Joe Rogan. He would have kept running with that
I think
otherwise.
so.
Wow.
Yeah,
Joe Rogan has a massive, like, viewership,
exactly. Like his
And-
YouTube views are only like a 1/10.
and he's a fucking awesome guy.
I
But
agree.
like Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, like his viewership is also massive. Like the Alex Jones one was Joe Rogan's biggest. It was his most viewed podcast, and
Yeah.
if you go on iTunes, there's this whole conspiracy. If you go on iTunes, it wouldn't show up on Joe Rogan's top ones.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And it's like, even though it's number one, so it should be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Which is just like a simple way of checking. It's like, wait a minute.
Are they censoring this?
And then same thing with this Mark Zuckerberg going up and he being drilled by Congress over, privacy, like the same
They're
thing,
all people
right?
he donated money to. Did you know that? Every
What's
single
that?
person that questioned Mark Zuckerberg,
Oh, right.
he has already donated money to.
Interesting.
Like, that's not bullshit. That's
Right.
yeah. Like, they gave him such easy questions, man. Like,
Right.
65-year-old.
Ted Cruz actually drilled him pretty well. He
that
raised
doesn't
some good
surprise me.
questions.
Yeah.
And also, I think, was it Rand Paul? Oh, I don't
Right.
really know.
But the average age of the people questioning was 65.
Right.
The average age of the people who were getting fucked over by the data problems.
20s or 30s.
Yeah.
And
Our
these
age,
people
right.
don't know anything. They're like, can you use WhatsApp for email? Like, the questions were
Yeah,
retarded.
They're like,
Fuck.
tell me about this book of faces that you have, right? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. They just don't know.
I was listening to some of them.
How does
they're
Facebook make money?
ridiculous.
That was the question.
Yeah.
I
But
saw
mean,
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty intense, but
I think you'd know that going in. Like, you should have researched a bit.
yeah.
I'm kind of happy to see Jones jump off the Trump train because, like, when I saw, like, I didn't get back into, well, quote unquote, back into him until like 3 years ago. I was wondering what this fucker's up to. I looked up his channel and I was like, okay, now it's like the American flag and pro-military-ish, pro-cops.
It wasn't
right-wing.
before?
Very anti-military
Whoa.
until Obama. No, until Trump, I guess. Or maybe a bit before. Anti-government, anti-military, anti-cops. If you can go get clips of him like screaming about how shitty cops are and then screaming about after the Black Lives Matter movement, then he was pro-cops. So then he screamed about yeah. So this is where I'm wondering, like, is he just following his heart or is he going with trends? Or like, what's his motive here? Because
it's interesting because Trump's done similar flip-flopping.
Yeah.
Granted, over a longer
Trump's a
period of
Democrat. Lifelong
Right.
Democrat.
Yep.
He's a bit of a he's definitely he's always like back in the day he was kind of he wanted to run for the reform party and then it fell apart so he pulled out but then he was always wanted to run as a Republican because he knew that you can't run as some other party but he said like that I'd run as a Republican but that that they kind of don't know how much of a left, like, or not a lefty, but that he is in a lot of ways, socially on the left.
Yeah, well, he donated
Obviously.
a lot of money to the Clintons back in the day.
Right.
And to their campaign, even.
Right, and he was at a couple of their parties.
And they were at his wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of
I'm not
his
surprised
weddings.
about
One of
that,
his
honestly.
One of his weddings, yeah.
Yeah.
So I find it amazing then that he went so hard against Hillary.
Yeah.
Like, I can't help but wonder how
That's
she
Because,
felt
no.
about it.
Because the Bernie supporters. That's why. Because he wanted
Right.
those Bernie supporters.
Right.
That is why he went after her. Because people like me, I'm not even in the States, and I was so sad to see the party screw Bernie over that way. And
Right.
it just took all those people, and they're like, well, fuck you.
I think
Let's vote for Trump.
11% of Bernie supporters voted for Trump.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's
Burn
So
it
they
down.
really wanted just sort of extreme change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people liked his like retarded honesty. Like it's just
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about Trump that's pretty but the thing is he has been eyeing the presidency for a very long time and he just finally he
tried
on
in
it.
2012.
Yeah, he kind of like he's talked about it for like way back in the day. There's interviews. They said if you weren't doing what you're doing now, like what would he do? And he's like, maybe run for president, like as a joke, but he's partly serious because he basically took over New York, and he's the kind of guy where like you have to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's nothing bigger than being the president.
Yeah.
And he finally found the right time. And what we were saying about like Alex Jones flip-flopping in a sense, I think that it's like, especially since this whole election, there's like this even in Canada, talk of like a culture war.
Yeah.
Where there's like, it's like a civil war in cultural terms, where there's like it's been, the left and the right have been split down the middle.
And more defined too. Like,
Right. That's the thing. It's like I've always considered myself like a bit of a like a lefty in some senses. I think that like if there's like a poor person, that they shouldn't have to just like
Suffer.
they shouldn't have to die.
Yeah.
You know, like there has to be like a bottom line.
Yeah.
In any country, like ideally, if you can fucking afford it, that's the kind of the problem.
Yeah, I consider myself as left as Canada. You know, it's like I like the social programs; they're needed.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But then in some things, the way the things have been going, it's like it seems like I've been driven, you know, into the right, even though I'm not. Like it's you know, I think with a lot of people, especially free speech,
it's a reaction against the extreme left,
right?
Yeah.
Because it's like I hold free speech. I think it's like an absolute right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And there's no like there's nothing that the government can do. They say which words ahead of time where
black and
cannot
white.
be spoken.
It's black and white.
Yeah,
because as soon as it becomes gray, you can just go forever with rules and divisions and yeah. So not driven to the right though. It's like, well, yeah, driven. It's not like you're not wandering there. That's for sure. Because not only is the left pushing people like us away who like to be objective and rational.
Right.
There's this net online waiting to capture us. They're waiting for us. Like,
oh yeah,
like all these people. Like, I'm not even speaking out against them, but like McKenna and Crowder. Like that's their model. Like, there's all these people now who are like, "What? Am I a centrist now or something?" And they're like trying to get them on the conservative side of things.
It's interesting, eh? You know, I was thinking about. So with Aidan Karki, I've been having this kind of like
year-long
on the down low debate about what it means to be a liberal.
Yeah.
And he's always been telling me like a
Small
liberal is like
L liberal is
just
where it's
liberal.
at.
Yeah, but like a modern liberal, you're like basically on the left.
Mm.
And for a long time, I disagreed with them, and now I'm not as sure. Like I still think I do disagree, but at the same time, I also agree that the term has been co-opted, where even the left calls itself liberal.
It's been used differently.
It's
there's certain words that used to be used as a put down that got turned into something good, like intelligentsia. That used to be a bad thing, and now it's like a good thing. It's like
or like cognoscenti,
right, exactly,
right there.
totally. But then I guess it can reverse as well. Like a liberal going or democracy used to be a bad thing. Now it's a good thing.
Really?
Right.
Tell me about that. I've never heard
democracy
that.
was like
probably
all the way back, you know,
early 19th century,
especially after the French Revolution, because it was like, oh shit, democracy means like the people and therefore the emotions of the
tyranny
masses.
of the majority.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you
we're
know
kind of
who's really good for that
and shit, right?
You know, who's really good for that view actually is Aristotle. He looks at democracy as like the extreme kind, which is demagoguery.
Republic, right? You want a republic and not a democracy, right?
Yes. So it's kind of
Honestly,
so he has this four types of governments. There's monarchy, aristocracy, oligarchy, and democracy. Yeah.
Right. Oligarchy's the good one, right? Or am I tripping?
No. So
oligarchy's royalty.
So monarchy and tyranny.
Yeah. Right.
No, that's monarchy.
Which are both the same thing as absolute power.
Oh, right.
Monarchy is good, tyranny is bad. You have aristocracy and oligarchy. So aristocracy is rule of the group of the best. Oligarchy is the rule of the most powerful, you know, whether it be financially or they're generals or whatever, and they're generally not that good. And the last one then is democracy and demagoguery, and he just lumps them in as the same thing basically.
Right.
So there's like, he's afraid, at least in my reading of Aristotle, that he's afraid that any sort of democracy can devolve way too easily into demagoguery.
That's the thing.
Because
I think it can.
There's no,
That's
you're right.
the thing. And
there's no protection. There's no safeguard.
Like, the so-called democracies are all like most of them are democratic republics. We have, we've got constitution. We've got the constraints on things. It's like, we have balance of powers and things, so nothing can ever happen too fast and too dramatic. Yeah,
that's the purpose of the Senate in Canada too.
Right.
So sober second thought is actually a legit thing to prevent.
Yeah, it's not supposed to. People are like, they complain, why can't we get things done? In some instances, it shouldn't get done fast because you have to, that's why it's so shitty and expensive. It's supposed to be like a thorough process, but it's. If you're a dictator, you just go out and just do it immediately, right? That's like the rule of law. It's like the big thing. But
what would you consider the United States right now?
Oh, right now.
Democratic Republic. I mean, that's kind of what. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're
So-
a democracy. They can elect people, but some people aren't elected. Like the Senate's not elected. The fucking judges and shit.
Yeah.
They're appointed.
The
Yeah,
executive, you know.
And there's actually, interestingly enough, there's the concept of the American Republic actually applies to their foreign policy as well.
Mhm.
So right up until about Teddy Roosevelt ish, it was an American Republic. There wasn't as much foreign policy. There was sometimes like the Barbary War.
Yeah,
And then in isolationism between the two world wars, that was a republic as well. But basically, since the Second World War, it's been the American Empire.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. They were
Economic
isolationists before
empire.
World War II.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
So-
not that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
So
just
the
building
American
up
Empire
slowly.
now, the American Empire is going through rough times, and there are a couple points where I want to say it's actually dissolving, but I'm not so sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had to be
So-
spread thin, though, right?
Right.
With all those bases all over the world, they had to be spread thin. Right
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Yeah. The
yeah,
thing
and
is, though,
so they still have their huge bases. Like there's Frankfurt, there's one in Saudi Arabia, there's
And the ones you don't
Guam.
know about.
Yeah, yeah. So
all over the place. Moon base. Fucking.
Newton Moon Base Gingrich.
There's buildings on
I
Mars.
feel like we should have a little section. I got this like little thing that somebody posed this question to me. They're like, hey, we just gotta have fun with it. But like, would you rather suck one dick really well or 10 dicks like quick and sloppy kind of thing?
What the fuck, man?
I'm just saying.
Well,
I
can we translate that into anything? Would you rather do something good or just do a bunch of something not good?
a little bit, but like yeah.
Let's
I'd
say
rather
I
do
would-
something
I
well,
would
but I don't
rather-
want to suck a dick.
I was gonna
I
say,
would rather
dude,
clean one disgusting,
But you-
filthy toilet at a truck stop in
a
Cincinnati.
really bad one
I
though.
would, I would rather clean it really, really well
Get all those
than
corners.
clean 10
Why can't we do the
relatively
dicks?
clean
Why can't we do the
toilets
dicks?
in the back of a subway in the Northwest Territories
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
Yeah. No. I think I'd go with the do one well because like then there's some art to it.
So what is this reference? What was this relating
No,
to?
it's just like
Sorry,
we're just a little
there's
sub,
some art to
we
sucking
just had,
dick.
like a little.
Okay.
This is
Oh,
like a
God.
little happy hour or whatever.
Okay. So Alex Jones, guys.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
Oh
like
my
the thing is,
God.
and I think what we're just talking about is like the government is one thing, and that's like you can work within the system to change it, as we've shown with Trump in a sense. But well, as Trump I think has demonstrated. But I think the one huge question with America is just like the role of corporations and foreign power in different forms that, and how does that affect everything else? It's because it's so complex, but and all like all the corporations. There's like groups of corporations that have certain interests, certain links between them, and things like that. It's fucking it's pretty insane. We actually had someone come to our environmental politics seminar and show like visually all the biggest corporations and then the
I think
links
the pizza's
between them.
here.
Oh shit! Yeah. Yeah,
think
let's
the
hit
pizza
pause.
might be
Pizza
here.
time.
But you should-
All right, we got
keep going
pizza,
with that.
pizza. All right, let's just pause it. Yeah. Fucking hairy chest, man. Yep. Fucking religion.
So we're back with pizza.
Oh shit! So we fucking had some pizza, and now we're talking about the fucking one and only Alex Jones.
The Alex Jones. We
Um,
just talked about Trump for a while,
Yeah,
which is
man.
related, very related.
Totally. So, yeah. So fucking let's get into it. I mean, what do you want to talk about?
All right, so when Alex was 12 years old, he overheard his dad talking about the New World Order, and that's when he
Correct.
got into conspiracy theories. Now, I couldn't find any information about his family other than that. And you know what else I couldn't find? Any biographies about Alex Jones. In fact, I
Nothing?
can't find anything about Alex Jones before 1996. Anything.
Interesting.
Anything at all.
I mean, there's Wikipedia, but that's
Yeah.
like a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'd just like to interrupt this for just one thing right here.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite sounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just
Beautiful.
listen to that. Yeah.
Fucking beautiful.
So then he read,
Interesting.
what the fuck is that book name? I brought it up earlier.
The final edition.
No, it's when he was 12 he read a book called something about conspiracy. I just have to Google it really quick. Dead air time. You guys want to say something interesting?
Well, I don't know. I was just pouring this beer here, and guys, I gotta say, I learned that if you pour your beer into a glass and make sure there's lots of foam on it, it's actually you don't have the sort of
keeps the taste
goopy. Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
but you don't have the sort of goopy stomach feeling.
Oh.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
what's happening when you drink a beer, which hasn't foamed out already, it goes, and then you eat something else, or you just, I don't know, do anything where your stomach sloshes around, all the foam gets released, and that's what makes you feel nauseous.
Right.
Yeah, it fills up your stomach with fucking foam rather than...
Yeah, because basically what's happening when you swallow a beer, okay, so picture a can of Budweiser being poured into a glass just like really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
All this foam comes up. You guys can't see it. Your listeners can't see it, but there's tons of foam.
That have that little, there's a little impurity on it, so that when it hits the bottom, it hits that, and then it sparks it. It's fucking cool. But like a lot of people that talk, that's like people that say like, oh, you pour it down the side of the glass, there's no foam. It's like, it's not what you're supposed to do.
No, it's not the point.
And also, if you have a
that's
mustache,
true, but
if you have a mustache, you get fucking dankies in your mustache.
That's true.
Foam, and like that's not good.
So basically, my point is though, is like when you pour straight down into a glass really fast and you see all the foam come up. Well, that's what's happening when you swallow a beer and it goes down your throat and pours into your stomach. If you don't let the foam get out first, so you've got all this foam in your stomach, and it's just taking up space and it's just sloshing around, not feeling so great.
Totally. Dude, I always get that when I feel like bloated as shit when I'm drinking beer.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Actually, one time when I was like 21, I shotgunned so many beer that I threw up not because I was sick, but there was just so much foam in me.
Yeah.
It forced itself out of my nose and mouth.
I think I did that.
It was insane, man.
I think I did that with a 40 of OE. Just like puked from it.
Yeah.
We're
playing this drinking game where you roll the dice, and basically there's like no way you don't drink. Like we made it up. It was the craziest. We were just in college and out of our hometown. I was probably more like 19 or 20 actually. Think about that. Fuck. Anyways, it was called None Dare Call a Conspiracy. That's the book I'm looking for.
Okay.
Which was this huge anti-communist book, like basically saying that like the communists had taken over the government and everything, like the Russians had taken over like the U.S. government. So he was always like pushing that fear of Russia from a young and believing it from a young age. So with the mix of his father kind of like getting propagandized by that book, like himself, kind of, I guess he ran with it. And
Totally.
Yeah.
And that plays into this whole goddamn election. Mark Zuckerberg was talking about that. About, he was being asked about the Russians and, the extent to which they're colluding with the Trump administration or not. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, because the Facebook ads was a big part of the investigation.
Right.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, every government's kind of meddling in everyone else's affairs as long as they've got intelligence and everything like that. Like it's
been happening ever since the birth of intelligence communities.
Yeah. That's. It's weird though that they don't talk about it, but they'll accuse other countries of doing it, and then they kind of don't talk about themselves doing it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, not only is the U.S. government hacking other governments, I mean, they're like monitoring everybody, like online activity.
Right.
So, I guess that was all I could find out about Jones before 1996.
Right.
A little bit of stuff about his dad, and I guess that's where he got his influence from.
Did we mention that he was already on that radio show for a couple of years?
No, we didn't. And what was it called? Frontline? No.
Yeah, the final edition.
The final edition. Thank you.
Is it Austin, Texas?
Yeah, but they sacked him 3 years in because he was so his government views were so radical, right?
Whoa, interesting. I know that Rand Paul was on that a whole bunch actually.
Back in the day.
Or was it Ron Paul?
Ron Paul.
Yeah,
must have been Ron Paul.
Yeah. Definitely. And he was way more charismatic and like always a little crazy, and he always had conspiracies, but there was a point when it got crazier, and I don't really know what to attribute that to.
I think it got to the point, like what he's doing now with InfoWars is, he's like playing the role. Like I think he's like a character actor in a sense.
Which is what his lawyer said in the arguments in the custody battle. That's what I'm
Right,
trying to say.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for his
yeah.
kids.
And he got his kids,
Right.
and she didn't. That's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Now one of them works for InfoWars,
Huh.
and he's super young, like still a kid.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
Actually, I heard that Rex Jones, his son, challenged somebody to a debate on. I don't remember who it was, but
Yeah.
maybe it was like John Oliver or something stupid like
I
that.
think I heard about that.
I didn't hear about that, but I saw one little clip of that guy. That's the kid I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, but I kind of feel bad for them because it's like they don't really have a choice. They're just getting dragged into this like.
Yeah, that's the
Crazy.
thing. You're not supposed to fuck with the family members of politicians and things like that because it's not their choice that their dad is a CEO or their mom is a CEO of this big company. It's like, but Trump went there with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he'd pull in people's wives and things and like,
just insult people's families and stuff. Yeah,
there's like analysts that they're saying that like the Trump election will change everything, like the way elections are done, because he went like he somehow won it even though he was breaking all of the rules.
Yeah.
In so many ways. It's
So many ways.
insane. It's insane.
Right.
Attacking, like talking about Marco Rubio being all sweaty, like it's like look how sweaty he is. It's like holy shit, you would never hear that. It's like, but he's the thing is he's unapologetic. Even if he fucks up,
Yeah.
he's unapologetic. It doesn't faze him. Like he lost, with his businesses, the few that went, some went bankrupt. But when they did, it didn't faze him. He just was on to the next thing.
Mhm.
It wasn't a failure to him. It was just like, oh yeah, that's what happens. Like he bought the football league and the whole thing flopped. And this he tried to sue the NFL or something like that, and he failed. And
Mhm.
but it doesn't faze him. He's just like,
What's the next thing? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he like made fun of Rosie O'Donnell too.
right?
Like
Yeah, I remember
brutally.
that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that whole immaturity thing. I think that's what turns a lot of people off. And
Right.
it's like this is why I'm so pissed off with most of the lefty late night shows now, because it's like they're taking all the easy stuff and running with it when there's
Yeah.
actually real things that you can like
More important things.
criticize Trump for. Yeah.
Yeah. They'll make fun of his hair.
Or Stormy Daniels or whatever the fuck.
Right.
Like,
I gotta say though, there's one exception to that. Is where I first started to look into. The reason I started to look into Alex Jones' finances was a segment on John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, where he's he deals with Alex Jones and where he gets all his money from. And I totally recommend anybody who's listening to this to actually look it up. But basically, he really takes him to task for what he's selling. That he scares people, and then when they're in that state of mind where they're super malleable because they're
Right.
scared, he's like, oh, and by the way, we've got to support this radio station, or you've got to support this operation, and we're not making a lot of money, but if you buy these products, then you'll be able to support us.
Right.
And
And
then-
we're the last
Yeah,
good
exactly.
radio station.
the
And then-
front line.
Yeah. We're
And
the
then
front.
John Oliver's like, so we gotta look at how much money he's actually making. There's like some estimates of about 15 million a year, and so there's a question posed to Alex Jones, and he's like, so where does all that money go? And he was like, well, it goes mostly back into the.
Well, I
Jesus.
mean, like $15 million isn't a lot to run a business like as
No,
big
it's
as
a lot
InfoWars.
for that though.
No, it's
Really?
a lot. Yeah. He has
Yeah.
very low overhead except for
Right.
staffing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's
But I
like,
mean,
most
like,
of it goes
yeah.
back into the business and the bullshit.
Right.
Bullshit.
I'm sure there's got to be some money being
Dude,
made.
I've been watching Alex like a lot in the last few days.
Yeah.
There's so much cocaine in that guy, dude.
And he's got like
Dude.
at least 3 Rolexes.
Allegedly,
Tons of-
we have to say allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
But
Or he'll sue
allegedly,
us.
allegedly, I totally buy it. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I've been in the drug world before.
Yeah.
I was a junkie for like 4 years.
Right.
And I know that activity,
Right.
that the crying and the anger
Right,
and then
right.
and then all of a sudden the sense of humor is there again. It's like that's cocaine,
Or
man.
is he actually the
Just
next
a really
Marlon
fucking good
Brando,
actor.
and is he that good of a character actor?
Oh, maybe that too, right?
Because
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because I think he's like a pretty like smart guy.
He has to
That's
be.
like when he hangs out with Joe and he kind of like chills out a bit, you can like kind of tell, but you can tell it's almost like he's doing an act, but like it's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell with him when he's being genuine and when he's yelling about random shit.
And like he was. You guys remember the movie Waking Life? No, not Waking Life.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe it was. It's like this movie about dreaming and
Right.
vivid dreams. Do you know what I'm talking about, guys?
I know Vivid Dreaming, but
Yeah, the movie's called Waking Life, I think, but it's a super like hippie, like it's about like when you're dreaming and you lucid dreams. There you go. That's what I mean.
Yeah. That's some trippy shit.
So it's just like a cartoon movie, and when I saw that he was one of the actors on it, I try to remember and I can't. And he's also in A Scanner Darkly as an actor.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's in A Scanner Darkly.
Huh.
So it's like
Couple.
he obviously like has connections and is friends
Yeah.
with not crazy people.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
And like can run a business. He has lots of employees, some of which are actually decent reporters compared to him.
Right.
Like Paul Joseph Watson makes way more sense than Alex Jones ever
Right.
does. Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Some of
and
them I
it's-
really don't like, but
It's like also in the way he dresses too. He's saying, okay, so there's so little money going in, but he's okay. So I already said Rolexes.
Yeah.
He's got at least 3 of them, but he's also super fucking fancily dressed.
he
and-
dresses very nice.
Yeah, and how he justifies it. He says, "Oh, I've got a nice. I've got to dress like the elite. I've got to dress like the globalists so that they can." Or I
Right.
can get into their circles. I'm like, hold on, Alex.
That's hilarious.
You're never getting into their circles.
No.
Everybody knows who you are.
Or
Like,
is that what he wants us to think?
character actor.
No, but honestly, like I'm not against him doing really well for himself.
Me either,
Yeah,
though.
but-
A lot of people I know are like, but he's dangerous and he spreads dangerous ideas. But that's the whole free speech thing, right?
Right.
It's like if you're going to censor one thing, well, all right,
Right.
let the curation begin.
Yeah.
Who's going to do all that work? Like,
Yeah. The person that reads everything.
Mein
and-
Führer, would you like the Alex Jones podcast
Yeah.
deleted today?
Yeah, totally. I mean,
So I think
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
going to call this the rise and fall of Alex Jones, right? Or the fall of Alex Jones.
Right.
But
So yeah,
but
okay. You know
there's a
what?
reason why I don't think we can, because I think he's going to do this now again.
Okay.
This whole
Right.
thing with Trump and the Syrian missiles.
right.
Anyway, you go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that's a perfect part to stop part 1 because we're gonna go into that for part 2.
Oh yeah, that's dank.
Oh shit.
Good
yeah.
idea.
That's the way we
Um,
run things here.
Should we-
Aliens and
Yeah,
gay bombs
so
and shit.
We'll get the next part up as soon as we fucking can.
Yeah, fucking